Yay, it worked. Okay, good. For the longest time, it's just been sitting there saying that it wouldn't be able to go live. So YouTube seems to be having some trouble today. So hopefully everything will go smoothly. Um, so we'll hang out a minute and or a few minutes and let people get logged on, and then we'll get started. How are you guys doing? How's your week been? Okay, yep. Looks like things are working. Okay, good. Um, it's been a decent week. I'm just still tired. Like it really kind of hit me today. I didn't really get to take it. Like usually Saturday is kind of my day off, but we had stuff we had to do yesterday. People coming over and projects around the house that needed to be done. Getting the backyard in order for spring. Um, my wife wants to have a garden this year, so we're getting. Um, we have like a tiered backyard. We had to have some a retaining wall uh, fixed. So we had some friends come out and help um, get that retaining wall fixed up so she can put that garden in. So yeah, today I'm just tired and still dealing with everything that's been going on, but it's getting better. It's it's a little easier every day, I guess. So, or at least every week, I can definitely see a big difference. Like so. Um, so anyway, how are you guys doing? Anyone starting to anyone have any success stories or anything that they'd like to share while we wait for people to get logged in? Oh, that's cool. Someone saying that they're feeling more empowered and less hopeless since doing rituals. Yeah, and then like that's like a like it can be such there's so much negativity around. It can really be like it can feel hopeless, and that can leave you feeling disempowered, where you don't have the power to cause anything to get better or cause any kind of change. I've absolutely been feeling it myself. Um, Not that anything is like really affecting me as far as the things that are happening, but it's definitely affecting people I care about. Is as I've mentioned a few times, I have a lot of trans friends and people in that community, and this is devastating for a lot of those people, and it makes me like feel powerless that I haven't been able to help them and to stop what's happening. And of course, it's in like on a certain level, it's ridiculous to think that we should be able to do that, but it still doesn't help you how you feel. Um, and like there's only so much magic can do until you start having like the numbers and people doing the mundane actions to also support support the magic and stuff. So um, just doing rituals all by yourself in your office is not going to be able to do enough to stop the course of history. So um, and just the amount of magic being thrown at everything from every direction. Um, so yeah, you have to if we're going to do anything like that, we're going to have to change anything. We have to do it smart, and we have to make it effective. And yeah, and I think that this is the way to do it. We do it like together and systematically, and the process is beginning. Um, we're about 5 minutes in. I'll wait a few more minutes before we get started. Our numbers are still usually a little higher than this, so we'll wait for some more people to come in. Get everything ready. So I have crashed back now. Yeah, YouTube's been acting weird. It like I said, it did not let me. It took a while for it to get started. I had to reload the page just to get it to start. So, like last week, like when it came on and said that I was about to lose connection, and I don't know why it's just doing this now. You didn't do this for the longest time. Yeah, so someone saying that it's the anniversary of Kent State today. You're the second person that's told me that. Um, I mean, I can see why I guess it's relevant, but on another hand, it's a long time ago. It's a completely different situation with completely different. Um, yeah, we're in a very different place um, than then. The country is a different. We're pretty much a different country. That was when I don't know, after Watergate and after Vietnam, we don't believe in our country, in our government, the way that people used to. And I don't feel like the military even is as mindlessly supportive of the government. I think there are obviously some people that are, and some individuals who are, but I think it's not as clear cut as it was then. I don't know. I just, I guess I don't like why is that an issue? Like, I'm not, I guess I just don't see the connection. Well, we've been going precedent. That doesn't, okay. We've got, I guess that's probably who we're going to have. It's 2:09. We can go ahead and get started with the prayers. Again, I'll read the prayer in English. And for those who want to participate, like you can just listen to me do the prayers, or you can, um, I forgot to upload them for you guys. Again, I'm sorry. I will really try to have that by next week. The uh, but as I read them in English, you can get a feel for what we're praying for, and then if this is something that you really want for yourself, then when I start reading them start trying to get yourself to feel the emotion that you want to change. Like if we're doing the prayer for health and you need healing in your life, then feel that need for the healing. And then as I read the prayer in Enochian, then transform that feeling of need into gratitude. And it's gratitude for as though you've already received it. And because so much of what magic is you're getting into alignment with what you want, which means you're treating it as though it's already happened. Um, that you live in a reality where you don't need that healing. It's already happened. And so, uh, so you kind of want to just get a taste of what that is, what that would be like. So that's what you want to do whenever we do, as we're doing the prayers. And then I'm going to, for several of these, I'll send energy afterwards. And I'm just sending it out there, and then you guys can direct it. You tell it what you want it to go to do, how you want it to affect your life, and it'll follow your intention. So whatever you want it to do, it'll do, and you don't need to do anything else to try to make that work. Just use your attention. If you need to use any of the other techniques or anything like that, maybe to help you, then that's what you need to do, or anything. But nothing like that. You don't have to do those things. That's just optional. Is what I'm trying to say. And then most of these things are also the energies for kind of the idea of the thing. So again, with like healing, it's not just physical health and healing. It can be healing anything that needs healing. Like that can be a relationship that needs to be healed, or it can be your business may need to be healed, or even if the only problems you're having right now are, say, financial, you can take the energy of protection to protect your savings, or to protect your job, or to protect your income, or something like that. And then when it gets to the healing, you can heal your business, so you can heal your job or whatever. And just every aspect, whenever you're going through, you can take every aspect and just apply that to whatever it is that you are currently in need of. Same thing, you can do the same thing for love and relationships, or anything like that. They can all be kind of shifted to heal or access whatever help you're needing. So yeah, those student loans, man, those assholes. I was lucky; I didn't have any student loans, but my friends, we're all in our mid 40s, and uh, they're nowhere near. My friends got those. They're still nowhere near paying them off. Uh, just predatory lenders. It's awful. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Take a moment to get quiet and center ourselves. We call in the eternal existence, the divine speech, and the holy children. Ol Zakar Baltazir, Laugeth Od Lil Gilcum. Come, I call you, come, all to us. Make us one in God. Glorify God. Rejoice with us and bless us, and not our fellowship. Make our hearts a holy temple and our minds a holy throne. Open the temple of our spirit and dwell within us, O God. Let our thoughts be immaculate light, and let our gratitude become an unconquerable power. Make us one as God is one. Come, Sel, Zakar, Al Nan, Zakar, Ga Nan, Eno Nan, El Yad, Sobam Yad, Vavago, Nan Lapnan, Ad Sobanan, Eno Nan Sia, Balsgim, Lil Adnan, Ia Adnan, Lil, Zakar Balsgim, Nan Sia, Ad Trabu, Nan Yad, Nanas, Kazgan, Pul Adnan, Avavago Nan, Asam Oltag, Eno Nan, El Es Yad El. The prayer for protection. O eternal living God, powerful and most high, holy, everlasting, and strong, we call upon you. We glorify God and shield us from all things. Bless us and guard us. Shatter darkness, break the wicked, and silence the unjust. Be friendly with us. Dwell with us in heaven and earth. Truth and justice eternal from the Creator God. We give thanks, we are blessed, and we rejoice. Yad Ya Pa Eid. Ya'ida Lil Balto Ad Samf. Zakarnan. Soba Yad Lo Kal Nonga. Latnan Od Zamad. Pire Oers. Pire Loholo. Ad Zikle. Dorfa. Gorzenan. Talbil. Ad Madriax. Ad Kaask. Latyad Vavago. Balto. Odad Ya. Olam Nan. Latnan. Avavago Nan. This is the energy of protection. And just send it wherever you need protection in your life. The prayer for health and healing. Sorry, it took a minute to find it. O eternal Most High, perfect and everlasting in power, we call upon you, we glorify God. Make us to flourish in joy and brightness. Bless us, preserve our strength, and bind us together. Be friendly with us, dwell with us in holiness and abundance. Call and shatter the darkness, shield us from all things. We give thanks, we rejoice, and we are blessed. Yoyad, Yaida, Kazgan Balto Ad Samf, Zakar Nan, Sobal Yal Yi, Eno, Nan Avavago, Ad Kazgan, Lap Nan, Zamad, Samf, Ad Kisnan, Zorgen Nan, Tobli Nan, Lil Ad Baulit, Zakar Pire was, Lo Kal Na Ga, Olag Nan, Avavago Nan, Lap Nan. And this is energy for healing and health. The prayer for love, friendship, and belonging. O holy God of justice, brightness, and joy, we call upon you. We glorify God. Bless us and be friendly with us. Make union in heaven and earth. Break division, call beauty, and bind us in fellowship. Call forth one in beauty and make us one. Summon treasures to me, holiness to all joy. Truth and justice glorify us. With protection, we give thanks, we rejoice, and we are blessed. Eon, wait, hold on. Yadan Lil Vavago, Kazgan Ad Avavago, Zakarnan Sobam Yald, Lapnan Ad Zorge, non Eno, Madriax, Odd, Chaos, Pire, Lonchi, Zakar, Pugo, Odd, Kisnan, Sobel, Zakar, El Pugo, Eno, Ego, Eno, Non El, Baal, Zakar, Ol, Lil, Gaavavago, La Iad Veawan, Sambam Nan, Lu Kal, Olag Nan, Avavago Nan, Lapgan. This is the energy of love and belonging. The prayer for wealth and abundance. O eternal most high, power holy and everlasting, we call upon you, we praise God, bless us with all treasures, brightness, and power. We call upon you to break open all riches in the heavens. Rejoice with us, be friendly with us, shield us from all darkness. Bless us, creator of all. Our souls give thanks and blessing. O Yad, Yaida, Samf Lil, Balto, Zakarnan, Sobam Yald, Labnan Gabaut, Kazgan Ol Saf, Zakar Ol Pire, Gaut Baut, Od Madriax, Avavago Nan, Zorgenan, Lukals Ors, Lapnan, Olag, Zoda Meta, Yodanan, Zomed Lap. And this is the energy of prosperity and wealth. Uh, the prayer for magical and psychic abilities. O Most High, God of power, wisdom, and truth, we call upon you. We glorify God. Govern us in wisdom, and call me a seer. Make us truth and perfect treasures. Be friendly with us. Shield us from darkness and injustice, and bless us with power. Let us rejoice. We give thanks for wisdom and protection. Ya'ida, Yadan, Samf Gahawakma, Ad La'yad, Zakarnan Sobam Yald, Pirnan Gahawakma Zakar Or, Laholo, Enonan, La'yad, Ad Kazgan Baulit, Zorganan, Lukal Ors, Ad Dorfa, Lapnan Saf, Ad Avavagonan, Olagnan, Gahawakmanan, Zometnan. This is to transform you into a powerful psychic and magician. And now the prayer for freedom from oppression. I call upon God Almighty, the Most High, the ruling God in unconquerable power. I call for judgment upon darkness, to bind all injustice and cast down and bind all suffering for the lowly. Have mercy on us, preserve us, and make us powerful. Let us govern ourselves, and establish us to govern the earth. Shine the light on of your face, and grant us wisdom, and perfect our spirit. Give us joy and glorify us. Zakar al, Yad Balto, Pa Yid, Yaida, Yadan Og Saf Ta'og, Zakar Og, Zikle Ors, Kis Dorfa, Od Tox, Old Kis, Ga Lo Shipur, Prayol, Zamad Ol, Od Eno Ol Sam, Pirol Ol, Od Kis Od Pur Kaask, Zakar Odan, Lap Ol Gahoakma, Ad Gazgan Olisia, Olag Ol Avavago, Ol Sabam Ol. And now the prayer for wisdom and divine union. O Most High, wisdom bright and holy, we call upon you, we glorify God. Make us wise and fill us with divine truth. Join our spirit as one, and bind us in heaven and earth. Be friendly with us, rejoice with us, and bless us. Wisdom is power and holiness, and we give thanks. Ida, Gahoakma, Kazgan Lil, Zakarnan, Sobam Yald, Eno, Nan Gahoakma, Ol Laiyad, Sia, Ol Eno El, Ad Kis, Nan Madriax, Od Kaosk, Zorge Nan, O Vavago, Nan Lapnan, Gahoakma, Samf Lil, Ad, Olag Nan. Okay, now we're going to do the Sunday ritual. And here you're just basically going to, it's like a guided meditation. So just close your eyes and follow along with what I say. So the purpose is to plant a seed of healing and coherence into the pattern of the future, anchoring the possibility of peace, clarity, and balance for those who will come after us. This is subtle magical work that acknowledges long cycles of decay and renewal. You'll visualize planting a seed of light into the land, holding the intent that it will grow into truth and healing when the time is right. This is a gift given in silence, without agenda or ego. So close your eyes, take slow, gentle breaths. Each breath you take will take you deeper into stillness, as if sinking into quiet earth. Feel your presence settle into your and in the place where you are. And now a statement of intent. We stand in silence and clarity. May the truth be revealed, the people be protected, and the land be healed. I ask not in anger, but in service to the pattern and peace. We stand not alone. We walk with Jareth Tempest and all aligned with the La Yad Ve'awang Temple, in silence and purpose. Though we are scattered, our pattern is one. Now visualize a small seed of light, clear, soft, and radiant, resting in your hands. The seed is not a wish or a command. It is a pattern of clarity and peace. Now imagine gently placing the seed into the earth beneath you. See it nestled into the soil, surrounded by quiet. Now whisper, May this land know peace again. May the children inherit a clean pattern. May what we plant today bloom in its season. Feel the seed rest in stillness, untouched by haste or fear. May what is false fall. May what is hidden be revealed. And may those in danger be wrapped in truth and protection. It is done. Okay, so this next part, um, all you need to do is just kind of keep the intention. We are calling on angels to shift us to a better timeline, or is the best way to put it. So as I begin to read this, just hold the desire that you have to get to a better timeline, a better place where things are not as dark, or um, and and then as I go through the prayer or the ritual, then transform that into gratitude again. Gratitude as though you've already shifted. We're already someplace better where things are going to be good. Zakar o Thil Ad Pir Thil Yadan Fra Herap Roar Offer Ad Kis Ato Thil Samf Yad Idad Ol Ga Thil Kam Sil Ad Pir Zakar o Thil Raas Zingen Zir Pir Zaxanin Zakar o Thil Raas Nanta Zakar o Thil Raas Mor Dial Hectaga Zakar ol Thil Raas Igzeheka Zakar ol Thil Raas Akembikev Zakar ol Thil Raas Anayim Zakar ol Thil Raas Afra Zakar ol Fa Hevra Ra Raf Offer Zamd Nan Old Pir Od Nato Kaosk Gab Blior Pax Ad Pyrthin Raas Sanden Olag Nan Thil Ad Sobam Nan Thil Yadan. And just feel that gratitude for a moment. In the future, I'm still going to flesh that out more. Um, and as I said, I think I said last week, I've constructed the temple. We just shouldn't use it for about a month. So whenever once it's settled and fully connected, then we'll move into the temple. It'll be more like a guided path working through the temple, and we'll do that ritual in a more connected way. But right now, we're just laying the groundwork, getting it done. Okay, now for our closing prayer. We give praise and thanks to God Almighty and everlasting. We give praise, joy, thanks to all the spirits of heaven and God and earth. We, the holy children, go forth in love and power to create the temple of heaven upon the earth. Olag nan sobam ad pray yad balto pa'id. Olag nan safbam avavago Odd Pred, Gaya, Gayadan, Madriax, Odd Chaos, Lil Yodkam, Non Zir Gab Bliorg, Odd Samp, Eno, Balz Gim, Madriax, Kask, Ozakar Baltozir, Laugeth, Odd Lil Yodkam. We call on the eternal existence, the divine speech, and the holy children. All right, so um, yeah, so we're gonna still grow in more of these. Again, we'll have the temple, um, and we might do some more advanced stuff once we uh, have that going. We're just kind of um, laying the groundwork, planting seeds, stuff like that. Um, and yeah, we'll start doing a lot more, and more than just like right here during this, we'll have other things that we'll do. Um, so, is there any questions or anything that you guys have, or request? I don't know, request or anything. I don't know which. Um, just anything that you guys want to talk about or whatever. Like I said, it's been a lot lately, and that can definitely have an impact on us. So we're going to move into this, slowly, and we're going to do it right, and make sure everyone is in keeping everyone safe is one of the more important aspects. I don't want to do anything too crazy. Now, I did do something kind of crazy on what Wednesday night was that Valpurgis not. Um, I went through all 72 demons of the Goetia and did a path working with each one, asking them to send their legions to tear away uh, the illusions, so that the light of truth, can shine down onto and so people can see the truth and actually see what's going on and see through the lies. So that took a few hours, and that was exhausting. I want to say that took about 4 hours on that night. I think I finished around 2:30. Um, so yeah, someone's asking about the path working I shared. I put it. It was in the group, but you had to kind of read a post and to find it. But yeah, I put it on the Patreon as well. So in Greek mythology, there are two gates: the gate of horn and the gate of ivory. And whenever you dream, you go through one or the other. The gate of ivory is false, just illusions, your standard, fantasy type dream. Whereas if you go through the gate of horn, what you dream is real. And so I'm applying that to path working as like an optional kind of entry into path working, where you descend into the underworld and you go down a tunnel of in stone. You reach the gates and you choose to go through the gate of horn. That means that whatever you experience is going to be real. And it's just another way of telling yourself that this is real. It's not just your imagination. And so then you go through that, and then you would step, like if you're doing Raziel's next, then you would go through that gate and then be in the cave, and then just continue on through Raziel's path working. So that's all that is. It's not. Um, I'm not gonna say it's nothing groundbreaking or anything. That's not what I mean by it, because I think it's pretty cool. I like it. It adds that. It just helps. Just add that extra bit of reality to it. Just like declaring that this is real and not just a fantasy. Just your just your imagination. I mean, it is your imagination, but we've been trained so much that your imagination is not real, which is completely wrong, even on a scientific level, because your brain cannot tell the difference between an imagined event and a real event. So if you, uh, it goes through the same, it lights up in the same way as though something is real or if it's imagined, and that's why you got to be very careful, like that, like just I don't know how many you remember, like in the '80s when they first started doing like regression hypnosis. You have to be very careful when you do a regression hypnosis, because if when you're doing the hypnosis, if you tell the person what they're experiencing, then that becomes their reality. That means, like, if you suggest that they were abused as a child, even if they weren't, then now they were. They have that memory, and it works the same way. They and When they first kind of started using that, they didn't realize that that's how it worked, and a lot of people were given these false memories of being abused as kids and stuff, and that kind of helped fuel the satanic panic. But it's the same thing whenever you're doing magic. This is why visualization is such a powerful tool, and why it's used so much in magic, or even people that want to call it magic if they just want to act like it's some kind of uh, I don't know. I've heard like different celebrities who don't necessarily talk about magic, but they still the power of visualization. Because that's what it's giving you, is that it makes it real, and if you believe it's real, it's going to happen. It's going to manifest. So do I have a path working for Galva? I don't really. Um, I have not. How to put this? I am working on it. Let's just put it that way. I'm working on path working. I'm working on two books right now. I'm working on, and I was initially working on a path working book with the Enochian, one aspect of the Enochian system. I'm not going to get too detailed here because someone will steal it. It's what people do. Um, and then that book is going to take a long time. The more I worked on it, the more I realized there's a lot here. Because we've got like the furniture, like the table over there, and the lawman and the ring, and all of the different pieces of equipment that I feel like are important to the system, and you need to have an idea of what those things represent and mean, and kind of an introduction into the cosmology of the system. Not that it's vastly different from anything else, but that you just need to wonder, for a symbol to have an impact, you have to understand what the symbol means. And symbols can have lots of different meanings, like an upside down cross to one person is satanic, but to another person represents the papacy. So, two very different meanings from the same symbol. So you have to understand the symbol set um, for it to work. And so there's gonna be a lot of explanation, and people in a path working book, from my experience, skip all of that and just go straight to the path workings. And in that book, they're going to have to read through all of that damn book. And trying to write it in a way where they'll do that is a challenge. So that one will come. But I'm also, I decided I need to get something out. So I'm also writing a demonic pathworking book. I'm not as worried about talking about that one since there's already demonic pathworking books out. So long story, eventually I will have one ready, but I don't want to just toss something out there without um, giving you the full context. Because yeah, Enochian, it seems to a lot of people, it seems to it does borrow from other systems and it seems to build on them, kind of that Christian Kabbalah that was going on. No, I'm not. Okay, so someone was saying I thought we were working on the Omnipotence Angels is a book, not just an entombment. No, I never said that. Someone else said that in a comment. Someone was like, you should make a book of this. And I never said I was making a book of it. What I'm making, the time I mentioned a book, it's something like Lucifer's book, which is a hypnotic track where you are then able to make a book that you will write. It's like a manifestation or a wish book, only it accesses the power of the angels of omnipotence, which is not the same thing as like a book I'm writing. And I hoped to have that out by now, but me and microphones don't get along, and it continues to be a struggle. Me and microphones not getting along. So that's a completely different thing, and that is not a book. That's me recording an audio track, and the audio and the microphone not working. So we're getting there, but that's an ongoing struggle. Do I believe in the biblical hell? No, I didn't believe in the biblical hell even when I was a Christian, because really there isn't a biblical hell. Hell is something that was kind of developed after the fact. You have the word Sheol in the Old Testament, which is sort of just means the grave, and it just meant there wasn't really a belief in the afterlife in the Old Testament. You died and you went to the grave, and at most, especially as the Greek influence came after after Alexander conquered that area, and there was some Hellenization, and then the captivity had happened, and more influence from other cultures. In other words, they kind of took on the idea of like an Erebus, where Sheol was just a place of waiting, where you're just like a shade in the dark. And then when Jesus was preaching, he would mention the Gehenna. He would, you'd be thrown into Gehenna. Well, Gehenna was the trash heap. Every ancient town, it's got a trash heap where everyone throws all their junk. They didn't have landfills or anything, so all the junk got thrown outside the walls of the city. And that was a place called Gehenna. And as you can imagine, there's a place where all the junk is. There's, the poorest of the poor are gonna, live there, going through the junk and stuff. And so there's people that live in Gehenna, and and they were, they would be burning trash or for their fires and stuff. And it was a place you did not want. It was the lowest of the low. You didn't want to be there. And that's what the metaphor of Gehenna represented, was that you're just, going to be thrown out with trash. And then at one point he says the outer darkness. So, and that's really it. And those are very different concepts from the Christian idea of hell that we have. Now in the book of Revelations, you have Hades, again, that concept of Erebus, that place of waiting, and as a shade. If you read, like, they go there and, like, the Odyssey and other myths, and kind of explain that. And there's a part of Erebus called Tartarus, which is the place of, like, punishment where the Titans were held. And I believe Paul mentions Tartarus at one point, sort of. So you start having this idea that there is a worse part of it for the wicked people, but or really for the fallen angels is what they talk about in Tartarus. Which that kind of goes back to the book of Enoch, which was never a part of the Jewish scriptures. It was always outside the scriptures, so you can't take it as um, it was popular and it was well known, but that doesn't mean that it was accepted. So most of the ideas of what people have of hell come from Dante, who wrote a really famous poem. That, and then John Milton in Paradise Lost, when he explained most of those ideas. Like, I believe it changed the meaning of the word inferno. Inferno used to mean, I think it meant at the time, a deep, dark hole in the earth. Now it means a pillar of fire. So yeah, so other cultures, the question was specifically the biblical hell. Now there are other cultures that have hells. There's lots of hells in different cultures and stuff. Um, and in some respect, almost everything people believe in exists because if you have the idea, you believe in it, that means it exists in the astral, and it can be a place that somebody has to go through when they die because they believe they need to go through it. But it's temporary, and they'll only be there as long as they think that they need to be there. So that's still not the biblical concept of eternal damnation and hell. So no, I don't believe in that. I've never, even as a Christian, I didn't believe in Dante's hell or Milton's hell or Pandemonium or any of that. That's all fiction. The hell, the true hell of Christian theology, and I wish more priests and preachers would talk about it, is total separation from God. Um, it is a state, and it's not necessarily a place as much as it's a state of being where you are in complete separation from God. And so no, I don't think that even that exists, because I don't think you can be in a state of complete separation from God. But if you think of things in a Christian term where God is the source of everything that is good and beautiful, you can be in a state here on earth that's very far from that. The deepest depressions or nihilistic materialism, where you just deny anything spiritual. That's all basically hell. And the more that you deny the spiritual aspect of reality and yourself, and just focus on the material, that is as close to hell as I think you're really going to get. So the flip side of that, do I believe in heaven? Not really. Um, because to, what I believe in is unity with God, and we are God, and so that's just realizing who you are, and being at peace with that, and not trying to constantly reassert your own identity, and just to sink into divine oneness. So it's more like apotheosis rather than going to a place of joy, I guess, and bliss. Like I think that it's a little bit more complicated than that. Now I think again there are aspects of us that go to different places, and there's like you're going to go to there's a part of you that will go to your ancestors, and that's much more like what we think of as heaven. But ultimately, your higher self it's going to continue on until it uh, basically reunites with the one and um, or the pattern or however we want to talk about it. It's going back to source, um, where everything is complete and there's no more separation. So therefore, there is no suffering, and um, but it's not something that's easily conceptualized. But along the way, I think like say you die and you don't want to come back here on Earth, I think there are much better places that you can go experience. You could go and experience worlds that are not so full of suffering, where things are not as um, dark, for lack of a better word, as here, or as real, or it's like some people could say dense. Um, but there are more awakened places that you can go and experience. This is one of the more intense places you can go, but it's also the place where because there's so much pain and suffering here, the potential for growth and maturing um, is much greater here. Like that's the whole point of it all. So anyway, anything else? Because I'll keep rambling about stuff like this until because I was thinking about some stuff, and you brought up like the biblical hell, so I'm on a kind of a Christian thing here, but my thoughts on like Jesus. I believe that I don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah of the Jews. I think that the Jewish teachings of the Messiah are very different from what Christians have been taught the Messiah is, and Jesus doesn't really um, fit the Messiah. I think what really went down, Jesus became enlightened, and in sort of like what we kind of get from like Eastern religions. He realized he was God. He found the divinity within him, and but he lived in a culture. It was a very conservative religious culture that was also occupied by Rome. So he had to be very careful in how he said things, because to go around and saying, "Hey, I'm God and you're God," well, that's blasphemy, and they kill you for it. And eventually they would. So he wasn't wrong to try to hide that teaching in parables, and he was trying to get people to realize it. That's why he would say the kingdom of heaven is within. But the kingdom of heaven is not a great translation. Like kingdom is it's a verb, it's an action. So it's more like the reign or the power of God is within you, and or the sovereignty. And you can see what he's getting at there. You can see he's trying to say that you have the power of God within you, and not just the magic powers, but the authority and the sovereignty to make your own, to claim your own life, power over your own life. And he believed it. He experienced it to such a degree that he was able to create miracles and break the laws of physics and stuff. So I'm not saying that those things are completely impossible. You just have to really believe in it. And I think if we truly believed, um, miracles are possible. Um, so that's the level that he was at, and then um, he's teaching people and but he's still got to be very careful. But he still ends up getting killed because he broke that. He basically had to come out and say, yes, I am the son of, or I am God. And like a lot of it is like how it's been translated. They'll de-emphasize the way he says things, or just the way that like grammar works in different languages. Like it can be hard to get the exact meaning across. And if someone has it, like by the time they ever made like a translation of these into English, the theology had already been settled. And this is where I think like the Christian theology got it wrong. And please don't take this to like an anti-Semitic place, but I think that um, they drew too much from the Old Testament, and I don't think that was really what was there. I don't think that's what was really happening. Um, I think rather than as a continuation of Judaism, what Jesus had was a completely different experience that um, is more aligned with, again, like what I said, and like people in the East had. He became enlightened and was trying to express that uh, to he was Jewish, so he's trying to express that to the people he was surrounded by. And so anyway, yeah, that's my interpretation of Jesus, and how I work with that. And that means that to me, I don't have the idea of God as a giant ego proclaiming himself, I am. Uh, we are all God, and we are um, um, we're all God, and it's like that's what he was trying to tell us, and that's what he woke to that reality, and he lived that reality. But the idea of this like great I am, that's just an ego proclaiming itself. And I think I think that's more akin to blasphemy. Is the to lower that ultimate reality to an ego. And I don't know, maybe this is just my Native American like idea of God that was formed before anything else, is that because it's just a power, a spirit, or a pattern. A pattern seems to be, I think, is probably the most non-denominational way to explain it. But even the pattern is only the reflection of the infinite that we cannot comprehend in any way. Like and we keep trying to lower it down to some kind of deity, and that's wrong. And especially if you start trying to imagine that deity as like a monarch who rules with an iron fist, and if you make him mad, he's going to send you to hell, or anything like that. And it's like reality is much more of a democracy. Only it's being run by a bunch of people who don't realize that they've been elected in charge of the universe, and so they're all acting and manifesting out of ignorance and fear. And that's why the world is the way it is. And the more people we can wake up to the fact that you are God and that you can create reality, the more reality will be a reflection of peace and truth and love, and not fear. So that's really the point of what I keep trying to say. That's what I keep. And so, it's annoying even when I'm reading these prayers, because I did try to rewrite them to be more non-denominational. But this is the problem even with John D. and Kelly's revelation is that they were like not even just devoutly Christian. They were like by today's terms, they would be fanatics. And so all of the language still has that God language, as though God is a great deity king that we have to please and grovel under. And I try to remove references to like sin and stuff like that, because I think sin is one of those things. It's got so much baggage, people don't even realize what it is anymore. I mean, for centuries people have not realized what sin is. Um, but sin is the distance you are from hitting your mark. I believe it was initially an actual literal word for how far off your arrow was from the target when you in archery. And so it's how off the mark are you. It's not how bad you are. It's just how mistaken you are from where you should be. And most of the concepts of sin were they were bad things that damaged you or damaged the community at that time as they saw it. And we've never let those ideas develop and it's so weird. Like we're trying to apply Bronze Age morality to the 21st century. And what was a sin then is what might have been harmful is different now. And also, and like we've also confused like the purity laws with sinful, which are that's insane. And um, not to mention like the whole concept of Judaism was to be, in its own, like in their own words, peculiar. They were supposed to be weird compared to everyone around them, so that people would see, oh well, they're doing things so weird, but they're doing well, so their God, was to set them aside from everyone else, so that people would say, look what their God has done for them. They like, even though they don't do things the way we do, and that was intentionally built into that system. People are taking this Bronze Age morality and misinterpreting even what it was, and trying to apply it. Like it drives me nuts to listen to modern Christian preachers that are still preaching the Old Testament, because I mean that's not even what Jesus was talking about. Like Jesus gave you the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes are supposed to trump the Ten Commandments, but you don't see the Beatitudes being pushed into courtrooms or schools or any of that stuff. They keep trying to put the Ten Commandments everywhere, and it's like, no, it's the Beatitudes. And like, man, try to find a Christian church that practices the Beatitudes, like mercy, compassion, bring the other cheek, rejoicing when they're persecuted. Like that's rare to find anyone who wants to rejoice when they're persecuted. In fact, so much of what's going on in our country right now is them punishing people that they believe are persecuting them. Even though no one's persecuting them, they're just trying to be equals, and equality looks like oppression if you've been the oppressor. And having grown up in the 80s and 90s in Texas, like the Baptists around where I grew up were absolutely oppressive. Like, I was 11 and I started collecting comics, and then one day I went to the comic book store and I couldn't buy comics anymore because the Baptist had made it where you had to be 18 to buy a Batman comic, and not just one Batman, like a bunch of the Batman comics. It was like, it's insane. Like, they would protest the music I listened to. Like, they blamed everything that was going wrong in society on the video games and it's just insane the level of control that they had. And, they basically tried to, in today's language, cancel every aspect of my life. And now today, they act like they're oppressed. And it's really annoying how just ignorant. And again, it's just everyone's so ignorant of these ideas and like what's really going on. And it's even worse. Like my wife grew up in Utah under the Mormons. So, that was religiously oppressive, which that was why it was so interesting. Like she never had any kind of positive relationship with Christianity or Jesus. And we were doing those spirit interviews a couple of years ago, and we were talking to the angel of death, and she was channeling the angel of death, and I was at while I asked him questions, and strangely the spirits had kept bringing Jesus up, and so we started asking questions. But we asked the angel of death if the resurrection was a real historical event. It wasn't like just some like symbolic representation of life overcoming death, or of the cycle of rebirth or anything like that. And he was like, no, the resurrection was a very real historical physical event. Jesus was brought back from the dead to life. And that shook us, because I was pretty far from believing Christianity at that point, and she had never believed in it. And so to have that come out of her mouth was pretty revelatory to us. And it, we've both been pretty moved by that, and it's had a big impact on us. And it just goes to show, like, reality is weirder than anything anyone's really imagined. And there's a bunch of things that we write off or misunderstand and stuff that are real, or but they might not be real the way we think they are, or might be real, and they might be more real than we're ever ready to really deal with. So anyway, so I've rambled a long time now on all of this. So so it's just I just bring that up, just how I don't want to say I'm a Christian, because I don't want people to think that I believe in, like, the Christian theology anymore, or the church, especially not the clergy, because I really have issues with the clergy. And I think that what we have now today is much more churchianity than it is Christianity. Now, but I have nothing wrong with Jesus, and I think that trying to follow Jesus is a perfectly noble effort, and so I respect that. And the people that you see actually following the teaching of Jesus, and not just worshiping him, or worse, worshiping a morality code, that's a really noble, respectable thing to do. And I have a lot of respect for people that are able to do that, regardless of the theology they might have. If you see that real someone, and because he tells you all the way through it, it's all about helping the poor, being compassionate to the people that need mercy and compassion and love. It's not about rules. In fact, he broke all of the rules constantly, and he overturned the tables and of the money changers, and it's just so ridiculous, the things that people think are so important. On the other hand, I'm really hoping we get a good pope. Like, I would like to see the church get better and become a better reflection of Jesus. And I haven't given up, I mean, I kind of have, but there's always hope. There's always, like, maybe we'll shift part of all of this timeline shifting, and we'll shift to a place where the church reforms and becomes better and quits being so hateful. There's always hope. Jesus was an anarchist. Mary, like, and the whole it went at the Annunciation, not the Annunciation. I forget what it. Whenever Mary's pregnant and she goes to see, and John the Baptist is also in the womb, and the Holy Spirit moves from one to the other, and I think that's what I don't know. It's in the Magnificat. I forget exactly where it is. It's been a long time since I've been Catholic, but Mary says a couple of lines that have always stuck with me, and she says, "The rich he has sent away empty." No, he feeds the hungry and the rich, and he sends away empty. And he's lifted up the lowly, and he's torn princes from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. That's what it was. But basically, some very revolutionary stuff. The Holy Spirit moves through her, and she says some very revolutionary stuff about pulling down the nobility and feeding the hungry and not the rich. And Jesus said an awful lot of stuff condemning the rich. And it's very radical, even by today's standards. So to be a follower of Jesus is to be, in some respects, to be at war with the systems that are in place. And that's why he was killed. He was killed because he was a threat to the political power of Rome and the state religion. He was a real threat to their power and to the power of the Roman occupiers, who thought he might have been fomenting a revolution and not paying his taxes. And not to get political, but it was real interesting. RFK Jr., he was talking about autism, and he says, very misguided. He completely doesn't even understand what autism is. But he says that people who have autism, the first two things he says, they will not be able to pay their taxes and they will never work, which shows you exactly who people are to him and to everyone in that level of authority. We are their laborers and a source of revenue. That is the main thing that they're concerned with. Are we going to be able to labor for them so they can exploit our labor, and are we going to be able to be taxed? So keep that in mind whenever you just live your life. That's what they expect out of you. All right, I guess that's all I've got for today. If no one else has got to keep the next generation workforce going. That's why we got to solve the autism problem, so that people can work and pay taxes. That's all they care about. And that's why, and the thing is, I know, well, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with this administration because they're kind of crazy. But people, like the conspiracy theorists, a long time, the big fear has always been they're going to state martial law. I'm like, that's not the fear. That's not what you should be afraid of. That's not what they're after. They don't want martial law. I'm like, why do you think they want martial law? It's like, so they can control us. And I'm like, they already control you. Like, you're doing exactly what they want already. They're just going to try to chip away at more and more, so they can give you less and less, and you can give them more and more. Because all they really want for you to do is to go to work and make them money, and again, pay their taxes. And they're only going to educate you just enough to do just that. My books are on Amazon, exclusively on Amazon. You can just search Jareth Tempest, Raziel's Path of Power, Archangel Path Working. That's Raziel's Path of Power, Volume 2, and then Angels of Omnipotence and The Filthy Grimoire. Those are the books I have out. None of which get into any kind of the stuff we really talked about. They're just, talk about path workings and stuff like that. So, anything else before I go? Otherwise, we'll get the final blessing. Let eternal being sustain us, preserve us in life, and bless us. Bless us with wisdom, that we may speak the speech of God. Call on the spirits of the heavens to guard us, to guide us, and to bless us. Give us love, pleasure, healing, joy, or glory, treasure, peace, and the secret joy of God. May he who sits on the holy throne of God establish us and enthrone us in heaven. Let us govern the earth with unconquerable power. Balto zirnan, zomen nan, ta'og, ad latnan, latnan gahuakma, inoan, loga yad, zakarga, yada, madriak, zam, papnan, pirnan, ad latnan, olagnan, bliorb, vereb, pur, sobam, baulit, pax, Allah yad veoan, avavago yad zir, es yad, Odan, Lil, Hisnan, Ad Pirnan to Madriax, Ad Pirnan Keask, Sam Tawag. All right. I will hopefully see you all here again next week. And again, just thank you for being here and spending your time with me this Sunday. I know everyone's really busy, so I appreciate it, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.